We make excuses and we mainly make them to ourselves to hold ourselves back. So it's just proof that when you put your mind to something, it can happen, right? Or when you trust your heart and you move forward, so important. Introducing The Vixen Voice, a podcast for ambitious women entrepreneurs ready to move into their feminine essence, live their truth, and unlock their full potential. I'm your host, April Roberts, and each week I'll be interviewing inspiring women who decided to take a leap of faith to pursue their dream. Women who believe that they were born for something bigger. Hey there, just popping in quickly. It's April Roberts, and I wanted to thank you for being a loyal listener of the Vixen Voice. It means so much to me. And because of that, we're going to be popping in these little announcements because I want you to be the first to know what's going on at the Vixen Gathering. So if you haven't done so yet, click the link below and check out the Vixen Founders Collective. The members who are already in are raving, and we would love to have you join us in the ultimate business consulting, networking, and personal growth community for Gen X female founders. See you there. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Vixen Voice. Today is going to be a doozy for you. If you're watching on YouTube, you're going to see that we have a very lively guest today, Holly Oldham. She's a freelance writer, comedic poet. Hopefully we get some of that during the episode. Solopreneur, speaker, daily volunteer, shoreline custodian, a mom of four, and a grandparent. So how amazing is that? So I'm sure we're going to be talking about how she balances all the things today. So Holly, welcome. It's so fun having you.
Yes, so fun. Thank you so much. I am looking forward to diving into what we're going to talk about today.
Well, my first question for you is, I talked to so many amazing women and I have talked to a handful of men on here, but what I love is we women all live such different lives. We're such multifaceted creatures, especially by this time in our life. So I really like to celebrate, what we have in common, but also our differences. So what I would love to hear is a pivotal story that really helped carve this amazing woman that I'm speaking with today.
Just like you said, we're multifaceted, right?
Yes.
And different seasons of our lives,
Yep.
we change. And I believe that we're supposed to. 2016, March of 2016, I was invited to do a podcast and I really hadn't prepared. 2016 was, I don't know, almost a decade ago, right? 8 years ago. My life was very busy. I have 4 children who are now all adults. At the time, though, they were, very young, and I hadn't prepared in any way, shape, or form other than the drive that I had, the hour to get to the podcast. Right? We were doing it in person. I'm telling you, it was if it was just given to me, this message, which is a poem, which is now my business, and a hashtag that I've been writing about. It's called Pause, Reflect, Move Forward, and those 4 words changed my life. Like I said, it's the name of my business. And that year, August of 2016, is when I filed for divorce for my high school prom date.
Oh,
and
wow.
if you can imagine, after, being married as long as we were, and the children and the division that the divorce caused, it really took a toll on my family. And so through it all, I practiced, because I believe it's a daily practice, mantra, if you will, poem for me, business for me. However, I believe it can be just about anything you want it to be. I believe there are 3 phases in life: a pause phase, a reflect phase, and a move forward phase, right? And it's up to us to decide which season we're in. Are we in the pause? Are we in the reflect? Are we in the move forward, right? And then once we decide which one we're in, we need to decide which one we really desire to be in, and then take action to move forward to that step. And then once you pause, once you reflect, once you move forward, you end up pausing, reflecting, and moving forward. Once again, it's just the circle of life. And so as I delve into it deeper, I performed on over 100 stages between 2018 and 2019 with my poetry
Wow.
in Vegas, Michigan, Wisconsin, all over the country. And changed my life, just changed my life. Wrote 2 books, and fast forwarding through all of the divorce and the ickiness, right? I created a new me because I had to. I had to be new because this version of my life wasn't anything like I had prepared for. I mean, I was prepared to be with my children, my spouse forever, right? When you take that vow.
Right.
However, when I got married, it was different. The religion came into it for my significant other. And it was just a lot to swallow, right? However, I was like, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. The programming and conditioning that we have as little girls, right? I was raised to be, prim and proper, like Holly Golightly and Breakfast at Tiffany's. And I obviously have the mannerisms as such. I speak in a kind and etiquette way as my mother raised me to be, right? However,
Right.
I found me amongst how she raised me. I think we all do at some point or another. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I love what you're talking about because I call it the good girl syndrome, and I talk about being aware of it, that we have to grow out of it to become who we really are. So I can completely relate. So I love it. So I'm sure there's more to the story, so I'll invite you to
Oh,
carry on.
okay, great. So when I left with $100 in my wallet, how do you leave your family? How
Yeah.
do you leave your family? And so with careful consideration and a little bit of planning, not much at all, I moved forward.
Yeah.
And all that involves. And I lived homeless for a short period of time, in and out of people's couches and trying to figure out how I'm going to get back on top. How am I going to get back on top, right? And instead of asking that question, I just kept practicing pause, reflect, move forward. Everything I did, the most challenging things I did, I didn't have a car, I didn't have a home, I didn't have half of my children, I was being alienated. What do you do? What do you do? You have to practice life. So I practice life step by step and I move forward. And, domestic violence comes in very many different aspects, from financial to sexual to physical to emotional, all of these things. And I designed a program because I believe in creating financial independence as women sooner rather than later. I mean, instilling this information into younger minds, not just women, men too, to become financially independent and not remain in relationships solely because of financial reasons. I mean, we had a lot of things happen in COVID. My divorce was finally final during August of 2020.
Wow.
However, there were many divorces after that, right? I mean, I filed in 2016. However, it didn't go through till 2020. I had no attorney because I had no money. I had to fight for everything that I believed was right. What I believed was right. At the time, because obviously, when you're in the situation and after the situation, the thoughts that you have during both are different.
Yeah.
Right? You're a different person when you're going through it, but
Yep.
once you're past, you're like, okay, now what? Now what do I do? So at the time when I got divorced, I was working for Uber and Lyft, all these ride share companies, right? I found that Lyft was offering this program. I had no car, remember? I had no car.
Yes.
They were offering this program. If you didn't have anything on your record, you had, a good driving record, they'd give you a car, April.
Wow.
I found this program. I don't know if it's still around. This was back in 2019 when I got the car. And then I realized that the cost was too expensive. However, I was making really great money. I was making like $4,000 a month working part-time. I mean, that's great money, right? So, however, I was spending more than I was making. So I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I had my daughter take me to the car place. My income was great. My credit was good. I walked out with my first car, right? I
Love it.
have my car through 2020. However, December of 2020 is my birthday. I filed for my registration to get It delivered in time. Remember, the mail was just so terrible then. I renewed my registration in October. December came, I couldn't drive. I'm going, what do I do? I'm going, how do I pay my bills? I'm divorced. I wasn't entitled to alimony. I didn't get anything. I ended up having to pay him. So I was like, what
Wow.
am I going to do? What am I going to do, right? So in the past, I had my own cleaning service. I had 309 clients. I built it, and I was very successful. However, my marriage was failing, and I found out that I was no longer on the paperwork. I was no longer the president of my own company.
Wow.
So I told people, April, that I took a step back because I could not, at the time, this is what I did at the time. Now, mind you, it was strategic, okay? Because I was completely taken back that my significant other had taken me off of my own business.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah.
do you do, right? So 2021 came around. I was divorced. I didn't have any of my clients. I'd sold my business. What do I do? I'm living on Singer Island. I don't know if you've ever heard of it before. It's a lovely little island. If you ever come to Florida, you need to go visit it. It's magical.
Awesome.
And that's where I planted myself after divorce. And how was I going to pay for it?
Yeah.
I wasn't able to drive because my registration hadn't come in with Uber and Lyft. So I was lost. And I'm like, all right, in order for me to maintain my lifestyle, I can't go work for somebody. I mean, I have this rent payment. I can't do this. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start a luxury cleaning service. And the first year I made $40,000. The second year I doubled it. The third year I made the same. The fourth year is my fourth year. I'm headed to 6 figures working part-time
Love it.
as a grandmother. Okay.
Yeah.
So I created this little program for other people that are looking for different ways to maybe move forward, whether they want to move forward from their marriage or not. I'm not encouraging you to do so. However, if it's toxic, get the heck out of there as soon as you can. However, a lot of people don't take business courses. I barely had a high school education. I couldn't focus in school. I just didn't understand the books. I knew people better. So I made money in my life talking and getting to know people and listening to what they needed within my other cleaning business. So out came PRMF Cleaning. It's an abbreviation for Pause, Reflect, Move Forward.
Love it.
When I moved to Singer Island, every day I started doing this beach cleaning, and it changed my life. Every day for the last 4 years, over 4 years now, I've cleaned the beach. Waste is good for your waist. And I look at
true.
it, I look at my cleaning business as people are paying me to exercise. They're literally paying me to exercise. I've had 4 children by C-section, okay? I've been asked before, why did you do that? Why did the doctors agree to do that? Well, if, you're going to get pregnant, what are they going to do? Tell you can't have the baby? I mean, that's a whole nother subject at this point of politics now, right? So that was never an inclination in my mind, though, just so you know. I was very happy to have 4 children, and I'm happy to have led them to lead independent lives despite not having a relationship with all of them. I mean, I think, a lot of not just women, but men and children and other family members, we all go through different stages of the divorce. And it's what's worse than divorce now is parental alienation. It's a worldwide epidemic, April.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've heard this from other people. It's insane.
Yeah, I was very proud to speak on a stage in Vegas and read my poem. I was the only mother that was alienated from her children. All of the others were men. And as women, we need to stand amongst men, not behind them, not in front of them, but amongst them. They're not any better, or we're not any better. We're both equal parts of this world, and somehow we all really need to figure out how to get along, especially the ones who are divorced, so we can teach our children to have better relationships. And I believe I'm doing my part. I'm sharing the truth, but I believe the truth needs to be heard because real stories need to be told so other people know that they're not alone out there. And I was alone. I was alone when I was in Vegas amongst these men, right? However, once I realized that they were experiencing the same thing I was, and I was
Mm-hmm.
experiencing the same thing, we blended, right? So I was able to win 50-50 custody of my children during the divorce, but I was not entitled, even though I was married for 19 years to the same person, I wasn't entitled to anything else. So I had no choice but to figure out how to pause, reflect, and move forward. And the only way that
Mm-hmm.
I was able to move forward was by taking the time to pause.
Yeah.
And I took that time to pause while I was at the beach. It changed my life. If you can get to the beach, not only will it just calm your soul, it you know, the environment where we live matters. It's why I'm so passionate about it. Toxic environments, whether it's your house, whether it's outside, you know, you can't be, if you're in nature and it's filled with trash, are you really at peace? No,
Yeah.
because you see
No.
all the toxicity around you, right? And the thing, the funds are not there, April, to pay people to go out and do this. It's physical
Mm-hmm.
labor, and unfortunately, people that are given community service, those are the only ones that like get any credit for it. And I'm not trying to
Mm-hmm.
get credit for it. I'm just trying to get more people to do it and realize that you can get paid to do it at the same time. You know, people get
Yes.
behind others that are stand for things, and I stand for the environment. Inside, outside. I'm inside my home right now. Everything in my home I love. I encourage others, if you have things in your home that you don't like, get rid of it. If it's a pen that reminds you of something, a time when you were writing and a story and you don't remember that story, just get rid of the pen, because
Yeah.
it's no longer in your vision. You know, I'm sure you're doing
Well,
visuals
they
for vision boards and things, right?
I actually don't, because I'm a spiritual healer, so I go about it in a different way. I believe from the heart versus vision. But what you're talking about, I can relate to the energy of it. So you have to clean it out. And I love what you're sharing about the beach. And you know, the thing is, it doesn't necessarily have to be the beach. I want to tie this back to something you said when you were sharing your story. Like, you know, this isn't what you expected, right? And I'm divorced too, and my husband had an addiction problem. And so I'm sure there was emotional abuse, even though it was unintended, and we were super in love with each other because he was battling addiction, right? And I was with him as he cleaned up twice, and the third time I just didn't have anything left in the tank to do it again, and I had to
I get it.
choose to save myself. And it sounds like you made a similar choice, right? And different situations, but same choice. And so when you said, you know, I had to learn to live again, I think that's so important, and we should pause with it, because I know one of your passions is helping women who find themselves in this situation or prior to. And it is true, you have to learn how to live again. And for me, you know, I ended up back at my parents' house after having had a very successful career, moving to Italy, coming back with nothing to my name. And I would just go walk around their neighborhood every day. I mean, you know, it wasn't the beach, but just being out and about, and every day just take hours long walk, literally in a loop. And it was so therapeutic. And I just remember one day going, okay, I'm tired of this. All right, I'm ready. Send it to me. And then things just started happening. But often we do find ourselves in this moment where we're like, how did I get here? Right. And I think as
Well,
some,
hopefully.
yes, yes,
Hopefully we get there, because some people don't get there. Some people are
that's
just
true.
like, I don't know, and blaming it on other people, right?
Yeah. Well, and when you find yourself there, just take the courage. Keep taking the step forward. And I love your story that you found solace in the beach, because, you know, you're cleaning up and you're taking care of your environment, your neighborhood, the world we live in. It's just like taking care of our bodies when you talk about burn to earn, because our bodies are a temple. What are we doing to take care of this home that we live in? No different than our physical home, right? So I see so many connections to what you do. So I'd love to share with us a little bit more about your Earn While You Burn program, because I think you were very intentional in starting that, correct?
I wanted to create a solo business so I didn't have to rely on anybody else,
Yes.
because in the past, my previous business, I was burned. Okay, I was burned and by someone else, and I wanted to be able to create a business model that would be easy to follow and profitable, that you can remake the money back after you invest it. I've priced it at $97. And with that, you get a 30-minute consultation after you take the program, and you look at all the information. All the information is there. You can review it in about an hour. Here's the thing, though. You need to take those steps. So there's more to the program than just reading it. You actually have to practice everything. And in addition, there's a contract that you can use, whether you already have a cleaning business and you're looking to amplify it and work part-time and increase, work less and make more should be everybody's goal.
It's amazing.
And unfortunately, it's not. I'm working 80 hours in exchange for what? What type of life do you have? How much is that worth to you? And I realize everybody has to do what everybody has to do. I get it. And I've done it. I clean things a lot of people don't clean. Okay? And I do things for my clients that a lot of people don't do. I fold laundry. I iron. I wash the clothes. I dry the clothes. I pick up the poopy. I do the exterior. And these are all things that you can cater to people who don't necessarily have the luxury home, but they desire the luxury care. It's different. People, just for my clients, for example, a client that she's wonderful to me, I offered her a cleaning day on her birthday.
Oh, I love it.
Why? She's changed. She doesn't know how much she's blessing me. She thinks I'm blessing her. She didn't have to come home. She runs her own business. She doesn't want to have to do her son's laundry and her laundry and pick up the dogs and all the things, right? I'm doing all of these things for her. I'm grateful for her. She's grateful for me. I also work for 2 bachelors right now, right? These guys, and they love that, I'm here and I'm taking care of all the things. I bring cookies. I bring muffins. I make the cookies. I make appetizers. There's always things that you can do to amplify your service to stand out additionally from other cleaning business owners, right?
Yes.
And being properly insured is so very important as well. So there's lots of, I love the janitorial industry. I'm so passionate about it. Your environment inside and outside matters. And additionally, ladies and gentlemen, should you be looking to go into the janitorial industry, we've been taking care of our houses, and guess what? Most of us don't get paid for it. I know I sure as shit didn't when I was married. I didn't get paid for that stuff. I was taking care of 4 kids and 6 turtles and dog. I didn't get paid for any of that, and I didn't. I used to get a $100 paycheck. I had 309 clients, and I would get a $100 paycheck. And I found these things out, and how could I continue to do that? How could I continue to stand by that? What type of role model would I be for my children to be, it's okay that you're called a piece of shit all the time. It's okay that you're being financially, limited. I would be given money to go to the grocery store, and that's the only amount of money that I would be able to, what? And I was okay with that? No way. So I paused, reflected on my life, and was like, what the heck? Who are you? That is not who you were 20 years ago. Nobody could tell me what to do. And so as I learned to grow, right? Because you have to learn to grow. You don't just grow, right? You don't just grow. You have to choose to grow. And it's one hell of a drug. Would you agree?
Oh, I love growth. I think if you're not growing, you're dying.
I'm a self-proclaimed personal growth junkie. And so what happens when you personally develop is you can develop other skills in surrounding yourself with like-minded people. If you want to be an entrepreneur and you're hanging around people that are, even at your day job, but if you're hanging around only those types of people, you're not necessarily going to become that entrepreneur, are you? And 100%. It's important to think different. Right? We have to surround ourselves with people and not be the smartest person in the room. I purposely plant myself in rooms that I am scared to death to be in. What? You've done it before too, and it's intimidating, but you know what? I show up and I learn, because if we're the smartest person in the room, maybe we need to reevaluate the room that we're in, yeah? Right?
Well, that, and it's also extremely boring.
Well, right. And so, in the course, I talk about networking, I talk about etiquette, I talk about
Love
going
it.
to thrift stores and going to Goodwill. You don't need to, when you network, to be in these fancy dancy outfits, because what happened, guess what? So I was doing a presentation on my business, right? My
Yeah.
second cleaning business, my solopreneur business, and I talk about this often. I did my presentation. I didn't have the connector, the adapter for my
Yes.
projection, the
Yep.
projection screen that they had. So I winged it. I knew what I was going to say. I just didn't have the pretty pictures, right? So
Yeah.
I stood there in this dress. I don't know if you've ever heard of Burlington Coat Factory, but it's
Uh-huh.
wonderful to
I
go
know
get
it.
like name brand items at a more affordable price, right? It was the first dress, April, that I was able to afford to buy. It was $30 retail, right?
Yep.
Someone had given me these incredible YSL pumps. They were like 6-inch pumps, right? And the dress was down to my knees. Now I had my shoulders showing because I had some guns going because I was hand washing floors, all right? And after the presentation, the network coordinator, the first question that was asked to me as I'm standing there, very politely so, do you clean in those heels?
What?
I looked at him, and because of my quick wit
Yes.
and my tolerance for
Mm-hmm.
bullshit meter has gone down, I said, you told me you can't afford me, and now what makes you think that you could afford me then? And then everybody else chuckled, and I put him in his place. You don't talk to me. You
Yeah.
don't talk to women like that. You don't talk to people in business like that.
No.
There has to be standards. And I stopped going to get my nails done, right? We're programmed and conditioned. We have to have a mani, we have to have a pedi. No, we don't. We don't have to do that because, one, the nails are plastic and it adds to the pollution in the environment. I can't continue to do it. And I went to school to do nails. So not until you know can you know. And then when you know, if you choose not to, you're choosing not to grow. You're just choosing that we're going to create more garbage. We're going to create more problems. They say the statistics are saying that there's going to be more trash in the ocean than fish in 50 years. Now, I plan on living till I'm 100. I take wonderful care of myself. And I don't want to see that. Do you?
No, I plan to live to 124. In fact, I have property in Honduras,
Oh.
and I mean, we constantly have to clean our beach because things are washing up. Like, they'll just be covered after a storm. So you can really see it's mind boggling how much is in the ocean. Absolutely mind boggling. And also, honoring Mother Earth and understanding that we were given this home and that we should appreciate it. And so it's funny you're bringing this up because my mom and we didn't have an argument, but they're having Thanksgiving here. And she goes, "Oh, I bought all these pretty paper plates with turkeys." And I said, "Please don't bring those to my home." And she said, "Oh, but it's for Thanksgiving." Nope. I said, "I'm repairing my relationship with Mother Earth right now, and we cannot use them in my home." And she was like, "Oh, but we're going to have so many meals." I said, "Awesome. I have lots of plates. I'm really good at washing them. Like, everything will be good." Because also, I mean, it's a better experience to use real solid materials on top of like not creating unnecessary like trash. So I'm totally with you. I literally just had to have this conversation with my mom. And I share that because often it's the people closest to us that ask us to violate our beliefs, right? And so we have to, and they don't mean anything wrong. It's just their way of being. And you can be very compassionate and loving and say no. And I think that's what's important. Even when you were up there and you made the guy chuckle, but you still stood in your dignity in that moment, right? Because we have a choice how we react to the moment.
And a couple of things about what you just said. Because I had a young woman I'd never met before. She was just there at the event. She approached me and she said, "I have someone for you." All right. So 4 years later, my business will be 4 years old on January 6, 2025. Because of her
Yeah.
and her referrals, it turned into over $150,000, just that one client, all right?
Wow.
In less than 4 years from one client, all the referrals. So when I'm telling you to stand up for yourself, would you stand up for yourself? And I'd like to, to tell you, during the course of less than just over 3.5 years, I made $250,000, okay? So working part-time, ladies, gentlemen, who's ever listening, okay? That I want you to know that it's possible. I've done it. It's possible. I've created a little package. But with that, I've taken myself on an Alaskan cruise. And in January, I'm going to Honduras.
Oh,
I'm going
nice.
to
Where are you
Honduras.
going?
And I'm going to beach clean there. I'm going on a cruise. I'm taking myself. I went with my best friend to the Alaskan cruise. This one for my 49th birthday. I decided to celebrate me. And enjoy the fruits of my labor. I'm not going to clean. I'm not going to cook. I'm going to sit on the edge of my balcony and I'm going to enjoy the fruits of my labor. Because you know what? We need to take the time to pause because look, next year we're getting a year older, right? Next year our business is getting that much older. We have to be creative. We have to be diversified. And I want to help as many people as I can because I know what it's like to live in a toxic environment. Does this make sense? I know what it's like. And so if there's anything that I can do to help someone just have the less mental chaos that clutter bothers, you're sitting at that pile of papers. I'll clean all the things, but I'm not doing paperwork. I'll get a paper cut. It's like a whole workman's comp thing. I could get hurt. But, I have mine tucked nicely into the little, the armoire in there. So I don't have to see it, right? But it's chaos, right? We have to be able to get rid of that mental clutter, get rid of things that no longer serve you. If this simple elephant, which I'm not going to get rid of, my mother gave it to me, and she's actually this month she'll be gone 18 years. You hold on to things that mean something to you. If it doesn't mean anything to you, this goes with people too. Sometimes you got to let them go when you're going up the elevator. You got to let some people off, right? So take
sometimes they're just for
an environmental inventory.
Yeah, I love it. And also internally and in your brain, because what you're talking about is being careful of what you consume and let into your environment. And, this extends in today's world for sure to social media, but also even what you consume via streaming, via cable, the books you read, etc. Like, be very intentional with what takes your attention, because I think that's an area that a lot of people let toxicity creep in and they don't even realize it. Because you like to talk about, breaking these chains of belief that have been instilled in you that you haven't chosen.
Yeah, and with everything that I've said, I would like to say with confidence,
Please.
I am so grateful for my ex-husbands, plural.
Yep.
I'm so grateful for them. Now, it's taken many, many pauses in my life and reflection in my life, because here's the thing. I don't hate him, because if I hate him, I hate half of my children. They have his DNA and my DNA. And I'm grateful for him. I can't wait to see how our family grows. We have a grandson, right? Our daughter had a grandson. Aww. So we have a birthday party coming up, and whether I choose to actually go to that or not is besides the point, because there is still some toxicity there. How much longer, at what cost do I bring myself to an environment that I know that is toxic? And I'd invite you to ask yourself the same thing. Anybody that's listening, how much more should you take? How strong do you need to prove yourself to anybody? And if you're still trying to prove yourself to anybody, you're doing it wrong. You're supposed to prove yourself right. That I'm going to honor myself. I'm going to honor my feelings, and I'm going to save myself the mental anguish. Are there consequences to all of our actions? Unfortunately, yeah. Right? Best laid plans. However, right. But here's the thing. If we continue to do what we've always done, we're going to continue to get what we've always got. And ain't nobody got time for that. Right? So the cleaning business is a wonderful business in so many different ways. The free cleanings that I've given Mother Nature and
I love
some
that.
of my clients, because they just couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
It's the best work I've ever done. It's odd. Would you say it's odd that it's not money making? Because from some people, you're free cleaning for free? Yeah. Because here's the thing. When you do things for people or the environment, you're blessed. Maybe not
Mm-hmm.
at the time that you want it to have happen. All right. It's not at the time you want it to have happen. It's not in your time. It's in the universe's time. And when you're aligned and vibrations and everything works out eventually, just not in your time frame. So, don't give up. Just don't give up. And if you need an ear, just Google, pause, reflect, move forward. You'll be brought to any one of my social media channels, and I'll answer you and send you some words of positivity, because I know what it's like to be alone, and
I love that.
nobody deserves that.
Well, and to your point about the free cleaning and free work, let's be honest, everyone does free work. Everyone overgives. And I love that you're intentional about the free work that you do, right? Like you're choosing to give that, because when we choose to give it, it comes from a more powerful place and it's more impactful. And I love that because, yes, as I mentioned, I do spiritual work as well. And I just combined it with my business coaching and consulting. So if clients want spiritual work, we can do that too. It's part of the package, but I normally do it separately. And then, of course you want an exchange of energy so that they receive what's coming to them. But again, if someone comes and they can't afford it, you can ask permission and say, may I do this work? And if it's a yes, it's really beautiful work. And like you said, the exchange of energy comes in some other form, right? But you have to be intentional about it and make sure that it's right to you. So I love that you're obviously in control of yourself and your choices. And so you choose to give this to your clients. It's not like you're giving it begrudgingly. And that's why it's beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Because a no right now doesn't mean a no forever.
Right.
I've had people approach me, and I actually have someone that's come to mind that I was unable to do it at the time. And how do as someone who has been through what it is that they're doing their best to grow through from a toxic environment, putting yourself, like for me to put myself in those situations is a lot as an empath, right? Because you have to have that boundary of, whoop, protect your mental and your physical energy by putting an umbrella over you before you walk in the door and be like, okay, I'm protected, I'm safe, I'm bringing good energy, and I'm not going to absorb all this negative energy if there is any in the house, right? And then you can start your day. And then when you look at that, you're helping another human, that the universe isn't going to make that go, it's not going to be unnoticed. And I highly, if I could give a couple of tips to
Please.
any of the business owners, oh my goodness. So like your phone is a wonderful tool. It could also be a bad tool too. But one, utilize the do not disturb on the phone as often as you possibly can, except for like your favorites on your phone, right? And two, just like you got the notes and you had the pen, your phone is next to you at night. Everybody puts their phone. Most people put their phone next to them or on a side table or something.
Mine
Some
is
people
in
leave it
another room. Yeah.
Yes, well,
I won't
as
bring
soon
it
as you
into
learn
my
that,
bedroom. Yep.
there you go. But anyways, you can use the notes section in your phone and get the thoughts that are in your head out. And
Yes.
if you wake up in the middle of the night, and if you can't type it, if you're not a professional thumb typer like I am, because I call myself a professional thumb typer. I wrote 2 books and I didn't type them on the computer. I
love it.
thumb type them, right? And get what is toxic in you out of you. And then if you look at it, rather than it being in you, if you can follow with what I'm saying, right? I know you can, April. I know you know what I'm talking about, but for the listeners, if you can get what's out of you in front of you and really look at it and read it and see where it is that you are and be like, nope, I don't want to be there anymore. Just nope, it's out of me now and I can move forward. That's where the pause, reflect, move forward comes into the daily practices, right? So your phone is a wonderful tool. And I believe that your sense of smell is a very highly neglected scent. If you're not allergic to essential oils, using pure essential oils in a diffuser, or even, like This is lavender. It's an empty bottle. Okay, I have my a full bottle by my diffuser, but here's the thing. You can smell it. You still smell it, and it changes your, I don't want to say molecular structure. That's what I'm leading towards, but it just changes your whole being if you're open to that experience. Right? If you're like, oh no, it's too woo-woo-y for me, then you're never going to have that experience. But if you'd be open to like maybe sitting and pausing with your feet on the ground, like April talks about often, and grounding yourself and having, can you just, if you close your eyes for just a moment and imagine that you're in whatever beautiful place that you find worthy of your being when you're trying to calm down, and have these scents going. I mean, imagine the possibility that you could have for your future and to moving forward. And again, I really would like to say, despite all of the challenges that I've had and the adversities that I've had to overcome, and on my website, Pause, Reflect, Move Forward, there are hundreds of poems about overcoming adversity between divorce, parental alienation, business, sexual abuse, all of these things that I talk about. It's better out of me, and you're able to read it to know that you're not alone.
Yes.
And I did most of it on my phone. That's where the poet comes in. That's where the poetry comes in. I talk and rhyme.
I love that you talk about poetry and writing books on your phone, because so many people make excuses, right? And we make excuses, and we mainly make them to ourselves to hold ourselves back. So it's just proof that when you put your mind to something, it can happen, right? Or when you trust your heart and you move forward, so important. Yes, I love what you were saying about the essential oils. I personally am careful with essential oils because I have realized that some people manipulate them. So if you do find a source you trust where they're like pure and clean, as with sadly most things, especially in our country, you have to be careful the source of where you're getting things from. But it is, I remember there was research that proved our sense of smell is the most connected to memories and to our emotions of the senses. So I love your point of like, just use these senses for a transformative experience, because you get to choose how you react to the moment, right? And I want to circle back to when you shared that moment on the stage. What you were doing was standing in your dignity, and that's what attracted that woman to come up to you. And that's a deep spiritual note for women. And she came up to you, and look at all the beautiful gifts that came from that. You said over $150,000 of income, right? Stemmed because you stood in your dignity, and this woman came up to you and chatted with you. And so you never know when it's coming. Just trust. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that.
That woman, 6 different houses. I helped her with less than 4 years, 6 different houses. I just dog sat for her. That's where the luxury cleaning service comes in. Because once you build a relationship and a rapport with these clients who are trusting, like I had trust issues too. I know what it's like to not trust people. So to have someone trust you to come into their home and just be like, Holly, just fix it. This is what they're allowing me to do. Just make it not look like this anymore. Make it inviting. I play instrumental music while I'm cleaning. So beautiful. The entire home is healing, if you will, just because of these sounds and vibrations of whatever toxicity may be in there. I've had people hire me to look for the alcohol that's being left in the house. Where is it hidden? Where are the drugs hidden? And they trust me to do this, to help them, because for whatever reason. And I'm happy to help if that's the way that they need me to help them. Because at one point of our life, right, like we all need help in various different ways. Like April's giving me this platform to share this message of Pause, Reflect, Move Forward with the Earn While You Burn program to help other people in life, whether it's in business or in life. We must help people. I wrote an article it says it's in the Good Men Project, and it's called The More Gratitude, the more it will help your overall mood. Right?
Yes.
And it talks about, I used to live in a complex that had 15 speed bumps that would go in and out.
Oh my
I would go
goodness.
in and out of the complex 8
Yeah.
times, and I would say the word F-U-K every single time I went over the speed bump, like 160 times a day.
Yeah.
Okay, April? Right? I had my kids in the car. I'm frustrated with these bumps. The kids are in the car. They're listening to their mom lose her flipping mind because of her divorce and all the things that were happening, right? So
Right.
I said, you know what? This isn't working. Every time we go over this bump, we're going to say something we're grateful for. So everybody in the car said something they were grateful for. I'm grateful for my eyes. I'm grateful for my ears.
this.
I'm grateful for this car. I'm grateful for the money that I got to pay for this car. I'm grateful for my children's names. I had 4, so that was 4 more speed bumps, right? And then all of a sudden, all this gratitude came into my life. I moved to Singer Island post the divorce because the judge told me that I couldn't live in the home that I owned. I couldn't live in there anymore. So I had to move to Singer Island. I get to Singer Island. I'm on an island. It's beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no speed bumps. I'm missing my gratitude reminders, April.
Yep.
Missing my gratitude reminders. So I start, every time I bend down to pick up a shell, or not a shell, the garbage, I say I'm grateful for something.
Oh, it's beautiful.
So you can find, I swear, I promise you, that you can find gratitude in everything.
I love it.
You're just clouded with the toxicity and you can't find it, but it's there. And again, feel free to reach out to me on social media. I'm happy to give you some sort of hope, because I know that I could have used more of it when I was needing it, but I didn't have the family. When you divorce, what happens? It separates, and they choose a side for one reason or another, and the people you thought would be there aren't there. What do you do? So social media is a wonderful thing. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast.
You're
I
welcome.
am so grateful for what the message that you bring to the world, and I can't wait to hear more.
No, thank you so much. I think I'm going to end us on this notion of gratitude. I love it. When I first moved to Nashville, I lived in a high-rise building, and the elevators were always messed up, and I lived on the top floor. So I kind of, most of the time had to take the elevator. I could take the stairs, which I did sometimes. And you'd get on and everyone was so grumpy in the elevator because they'd been waiting for 10 minutes. So I did similar to you. I was like, every time I walked through the elevator doors, what am I grateful for? So I'd get and then it'd go down and people would get on grumpy. And literally one day somebody looked at me and goes, "What are you so happy for?" And I was like, why not? Because practicing the gratitude, and it shifts and it protects you as well. So one thing I know, you talked about zipping yourself up as an empath. What's really important is self-love is what protects you, right? So if you practice self-forgiveness, self-love, and gratitude every day, it's like you've created your own force field and you're protected against these things. So I love that. Same
I don't
thing
need the
when
umbrella.
Yes, when you're practicing gratitude, if you throw in some self-forgiveness and self-love, you just took extra vitamins for the day. So it's really beautiful.
For sure. I mean, and there's all different stages of protection. Yes, you self-love, but if you feel like, in my experience, in the past, I've had to use that. Now I know I enter and I'm happier, right? Because I know the home that I'm caring for, right? And I know the animals and the pets and all of the things. However, going into a new home, protecting your own energy is very important. And if you can do it without an umbrella, so to speak, get it.
Love it.
Because the money's there, by the way. There's money's there, by the way, in the janitorial industry. I mean, I don't know about you, but wouldn't you like to get paid to clean your house, April?
Yeah. Well, I pay other people to clean my house. I am very grateful for them. And it was really funny. My housekeeper was like, hey, April, can I ask you something one day? And I was like, yes, what? And she goes, I know you're very spiritual and you pray a lot. And she said, she had a little scare with breast cancer. And she said, I have to go back. Can you please pray for me? And I was like, absolutely, 100%. Because like, you give me this gift of a clean home. I know I pay you, but I mean, whatever I can do to help you. And I met her because her husband helped me by like painting rooms and different things. And so you really do become like a little family. It's so important. And this is your community. Unfortunately, we don't have strong communities anymore, but you can create your own community. It's so important. So,
well, I believe you're creating a wonderful community. So I just want to say you're doing wonderful work here, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Well, I know we're out of time. I always wish we had longer on these things, but Holly, thank you so much for coming and sharing your heart and everything about you. Before we sign off, do you have any final message or anything you'd like to share with our audience?
Google pause, reflect, move forward, and look at the journey and see how you can create your own. The message is there to not only help me move forward, but help anybody else move forward. And again, there's pictures of ocean, there's pictures of trash, there's pictures of happiness, there's pictures of sadness, because, we need to share the good and the bad, because that's what life is about, right? We got to go through the bad to figure out what the good is. So pause, reflect, move forward is all of that.
Totally. I totally agree. Thank you so much for that. And as I always say, the world needs more love. A topic that came up today is loving Mother Earth. It's real. And you can even start in small ways. I mean, Holly has a deep commitment to cleaning the beach every day, right? But remember, everything starts with one small step. Just like even me, unfortunately, breaking my mom's heart that she can't bring her paper turkey plates into my house, but that's important to me. So decide what's important to you. Decide a way you want to love Mother Earth. Maybe you're going to go plant a tree or clean up your neighborhood. They're just beautiful ways you can do it and honor. And so maybe that's the way we show a little love this week. So thank you everyone for listening. Holly, thank you for being with us. And to everyone out there, I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thanks again for listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to hit subscribe so future episodes are automatically downloaded directly to your device. And if you want access to today's show notes, including links to all the resources we mentioned, visit vixengathering.com/podcast. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you next week for another episode of The Vixen Voice.